Hello, hello. Here we are. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Here we are on episode 21. Okay, let me start the recording. Okay, I'm Sudha Jamthe, and here you are at Sudha Live, episode 21. That means 21 Fridays you've hung around with me, and I'm so thankful for that. So, this is our weekly live stream where we get to talk about something hot that's happening in the AI world. And for this week, I would say it is AI ethics. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And I'll share opportunities with jobs, with all kinds of things, events, courses, fellowships. And somehow, I don't know if it is the social media, fine tuning the feeds, or am I hearing that mostly as so much happening in the AI ethics world. So let me see. I see some comments. Thank you, everybody. Can you hear me all right now? Yeah. Thank you so much for your comments. Are you able to hear me okay now? Yeah. Can you just give me a thumbs up or? Yeah. I played with my microphone, what I'm going to use and stuff. So I think I've landed all right. So let me know if that's okay or if I need to do anything else. Okay. So thank you so much, Consuelo. So we always start this with a celebration because there is so much to celebrate in our world of tech with so many amazing people doing amazing things. And today I want to share congratulations to Roxy Stimson. Here is her presentation. After she finished her presentation, she spoke at Black Women in STEM. And here is another amazing Black women in STEM. So these women, Tanisha Gordon, Joanne Rossman, Heather Ratcliffe, these are people you absolutely should follow to find out the latest, greatest women in STEM. And they're also organizing women in engineering. So you'll find more about their women's events and stuff. Okay. So congratulations, Roxy. Thank you so much for being an inspiration for us. Okay. So moving on, we have, let's see, we have a nomination call from the amazing 100 Brilliant Women in AI Ethics. Let me share that screen. So here it is. It is womeninaiethics.org. I'm going to put this in the chat window in LinkedIn in a minute. I know you're all like watching this from LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube. Later, I'll come to YouTube and give you a bunch of links together. Starting last week, thanks to many of your feedback, one of the things I've started is to collect all the different links and resources that I'm sharing here, including the recording of this Sudha Live, and put this together as an email, a newsletter. So you should see that too. So hopefully, you will be able to go back to all the links and resources on time and benefit from that. Especially this week, I'm going to have a lot more jobs that I want to share. So that's important to see what the URL and links are. So I shared 100 Brilliant Women in AI Ethics conference that's coming up. Last week, I shared that the conference is on December 1st, but their conference sign up was open and they were charging like $10 or something very nominal, but they do such amazing work. This is a global group of women led by Mia Dan. I'm a big fan of Mia Dan, and they do amazing stuff and bring women and drive real change in AI ethics in a very systematic, smart way. And they have a directory right here that I showed last week, I think. So you can go look at that. And womeninaiethics.org is their URL if you just want to remember one thing. This week, they have a nomination going on. So they have this 100 Brilliant Women in AI Ethics that they list. This is a global list. And they do that by the nominations they get from you and me and everyone else. So today, October 22nd, till 9 p.m. here is our deadline, which means 3 more hours from now, is the deadline for you to nominate brilliant women that you are seeing changing the world, doing amazing things in the world of AI ethics. So you just fill a nomination. It's not a big deal. You see what category are they working on, right? And it doesn't matter if you've seen the work of this women, put it out there. These are brilliant women who are driving this, and they'll figure out what they need to do. But they try to see whether, is this person working on privacy? Are they working on commercial system? Are they working on rights and roles and things like that? Okay. So, and then if the minimum you need is the person's email, name, and, a LinkedIn profile. If you know more, you can give all the other details and things like that, right? So I hope you will take the time to nominate amazing, amazing, amazing women who are in the AI ethics world. A refresher, I can tell you, Susanna Raj, who teaches AI ethics, inclusive AI, and is actually, doing amazing stuff. In fact, this morning she was driving a panel at AI diet conference all day long. And she did a panel this morning where she went into AI bias. And it looks like a thing that she talks about all the time. But in our class, when she does that at Business School of AI, she teaches inclusive AI. And she likes to go into the details of AI, into data and bias, down to the level of labeling it and constructing what inclusiveness is, constructing what is movement, defining a common construct so that we can have a same starting point. So she does that. Today, she took that another notch, and she said, okay, so if we are taking a data set and the data set is biased, can we actually use one of the columns as proxy? And so this is talked about a lot about race. So for race, location becomes a proxy, saying this set of neighborhood, people of a certain race live there, or people of this neighborhood are poor people, and things like that. So there's a proxy for that. And so this whole discussion was about, is having a proxy good or bad? Statistically, what does that mean? And she drove a beautiful panel in AI diet. So that's something that I'm going to share a link here, and I would recommend. So I'm going back to nominate people. I would recommend nominating Susanna Raj. The other brilliant woman is Renee Cummings. And Renee Cummings is coming to teach responsible AI. She's a globetrotter, so you must have seen her everywhere. We are so lucky that Renee is able to find time to do a masterclass with us. It's just 2 hours. For those of you who are very busy, want to get into AI ethics, and you're wondering, I don't know where to get started, you want a certificate so you can apply for any of the jobs that I'm going to share next, to even get started, right? So Renee is teaching on October 25th, this Monday, and she's teaching responsible AI. It's 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock for 2 hours, which is 18 hour in Europe, or 1 p.m. in Brazil. Just 2 hours, if you can dedicate, you'll just get a big foundation and inspiration to kind of go into this field. So Renee Cummings is somebody that I'm going to nominate. So I just want to put it out there. That should not stop you from nominating her or anybody else. So go ahead. So the other people that inspire me in the AI ethics world are Anna Chibinitsu. She is from the country of Georgia. And she talks about bringing Eastern and Western philosophies together in AI ethics. And she helps businesses focus on risk mitigation. What does enterprise AI ethics in enterprise really mean? I've heard this week from several people who are saying, hey, AI ethics is not related to business. It's one of those idealistic things, keep it away. And that was very sad to hear. I was at 2 conferences where there was that discussion about it. And so Anna Chibinitsu actually shows you how that really matters. Okay, so so definitely, I would recommend that you nominate these amazing women. That is my ask of you. That is, it looks like a little time, but it is totally worth it. Oh, another person is Rebecca Tweed. So she's the one who's focused on facial recognition, and she's doing amazing things. She maintains the job list for responsible AI. and is tireless. I don't know. And she's part of, I think she's a program director at All Tech is Human now, and where she maintains her job list. So she's somebody worth following. I definitely would not, I would not ignore her. She's a force. She's not somebody to be ignored. So let me write that names here so you get that with the right spelling. Rebecca, Tweed, Susanna Raj, Renee Cummings, and Anna Chikunitsu. And you might have more women because the AI ethics world has got amazing set of women who are all driving this. So nominate them for 100. Yep, that's my recommendation. So go for it, guys. Okay. So that is our celebration and the amazing women who inspire us. And while I did keep promising you about the job, so I'm going to get that in a minute. The other thing I want to do is I mentioned about Rebecca, about Renee Cummings' course. We are so lucky that we are able to get her time. So I want to share that in a minute. And I'm going to show you a sneak peek. I've been promising that I'm going to show you a sneak peek of her teaching style. So if you go to bit.ly/inclusive AI, that should take you to the jobs page, to the course sign up page. If you're interested, you can jump in and just take Renee Cummings class. Just jump in and take Renee Cummings class, which is here. And if finances are a hardship, talk to me. I can find scholarships for you. I want to make sure that we are just not. I do a lot of free content on my own, like this one, or Weekly Wednesday, and so much more. Right? We do a bunch of free classes. So I'm not one for hoarding content, but I believe that when somebody puts in the effort to teach a class, they need to be compensated fairly. So just talk to me. Otherwise, sign up. And I hope to see you there. And there are some others who are coming in from Susanna's class. They've already signed in for Susanna's class, or you could jump in and sign for Susanna's class and get the past recording of her sessions. Plus, she's doing a live lab about how to define construct and go do right annotation and understand inclusive AI. So you'll get a separate certificate for inclusive AI and separate certificate for responsible AI when you finish this course. If you sign up for this option, or if you just do the Renee Cummings version, you will get a certificate for responsible AI right here from Business School of AI. So the reason I came here is, so we went to bit.ly/inclusive AI. So this is where we started from, right? So in here, you can see the full syllabus. That is what I'm going to do. You go to the full syllabus, and then you will see the link I'm talking about. So I'm not going to walk you through the whole thing. So I have it already set up, ready. So I'm going to jump in and show you a free preview of Renee Cummings' class. Renee Cummings is traveling right as we speak. So she's given us tons of recording. And this, I thought, would be very appropriate for us to see how passionate she is. What is her style of teaching? And I just think the magic of her words wants me to just sit in and listen for hours and hours, but she's giving us only 2 hours. Okay, so this is a preview that is available under the syllabus. If you go to bit.ly/inclusive AI, scroll down, go to syllabus, and you see a lot of free resources and obviously the class syllabus for those who have signed up. But you can consume the free resources, no sign up required. We don't even try to capture your email or something. That's not the game we are here for. And then in there, you will see this free preview of Renee Cummings' talk, Race plus Data Science from University of Columbia. That is her talk that she gave there from the Data Science Institute. So without further ado.
Algorithms, I think we can all agree, cannot be left unchecked. We continue to witness a proliferation of cases in which AI bias and discrimination are showing up through our data sets. There is this wealth of empirical evidence showing that the use of AI systems can often replicate historical and contemporary conditions of injustice rather than alleviate them. I advocate for justice-oriented AI design and algorithmic accountability, ethical algorithmic solutions, expanding the imagination of AI and protecting the public against the dangers of what Ruha Benjamin calls the design monoculture, AI that lacks diversity, AI that is not equitable, AI that is not inclusive, and AI that does not look like all of us. Criminology is the work that brought me to AI. I became extremely curious and concerned about the risk assessment tools that were being deployed across the criminal justice system, the assault of algorithmic decision-making systems on sentencing, policing, juvenile justice, child protection, corrections, parole, public safety in general, algorithmic injustices in real time. What Brian Jefferson calls computerized racism in his book, Digitize and Punish, racial criminalization in the digital age. And Jefferson is on point when he refers to the database as the central technology of the punitive state and criminal justice as racial management. Intrusive surveillance technologies are not only redefining privacy, but invasive data collection and AI-fueled surveillance are changing how we interact with each other and how we interact with this world. Data discrimination, data profiling, data marginalization, data victimization, the monetization of our data and the weaponization of that data against us, the problematic use of data and the lack of representation and the lack of respect for representation in the data as some of the many challenges with which we face as a society. In policing, it is all about intelligence-led policing, data-driven policing, mapping, modeling, and measuring, tracking, tracing, and traumatizing through precision policing, through predictive analytics, correlations between the slave codes and coding and machine learning, and how algorithms are frustrating due process and procedural justice. Algorithmic injustices continue to undermine the maturity and the integrity of many AI systems. We've got to think about algorithmic injustices and the ways in which algorithms are creating a trajectory of trauma, intergenerational trauma, harm and inequalities and long-term negative impacts on society, in particular, Black, Indigenous people of color. AI is a superpower. It is super powerful, and I'm very passionate about the transformative power of AI. AI's ability to create extraordinary possibilities in every industry and in every aspect of our lives. AI's potential to enhance everything we do if we do AI right. But the social construction of algorithms are presenting some unique challenges on how algorithms impact our lives, livelihoods, life chances, life changes, and our legacies. Computational models, algorithms are being used to disenfranchise and disempower and to disinvest in our high needs, underserved and already under-resourced communities. Algorithmic exclusion, the long-term political consequences could be devastating for Black, Indigenous people of color. Lisa Gilman said it so well. In raw data is an oxymoron when she said, there is no such thing as raw data. Data is about power, privilege, politics. Data is wrapped up in popular predispositions, age-old stereotypes and agendas. Data affects every aspect of decision-making. Data is capital in a data-driven society. How data is collected, analyzed, used, it's all about race and data. In Weapons of Mass Destruction, Kathy O'Neill warned us about the debilitating effects of data on society and on marginalized and minoritized communities. In Algorithms of Oppression, Sophia Noble told us about the oppressive nature of data, and how search engines reinforce racial and gender biases, what she called technological redlining.
Okay, so you get the idea. If you want more of this, obviously you can come to Renee Cummings class on October 25 and from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, masterclass. bit.ly/inclusive AI, or as I showed you, go to the syllabus section and you can watch this entire recording. And this is just a taste of a talk that Renee Cummings gave. In class, she's going to teach you. She runs a program in University of Virginia where she has researchers working on, not just talking, okay, AI algorithms are unfair and just. How do you actually technically understand it and make them fair? That is a huge challenge. So even we teach data bias, but data mitigation, there are only certain tools in place, certain techniques in place. So I'm not in the camp where saying data needs to be regulated or AI needs to be regulated and calling for regulation, because my job function is to teach you and to do this where I arm you with knowledge and then you go build this. So I'm teaching people who are building AI and who want to go and understand the power of AI and make magical things happen, but they want to do this in an ethical way. So that's why I focus on inclusive AI and responsible AI. So that's why I've invited Susanna to go deeper into inclusive AI and Renee Cummings to come talk to us about what can we really do to bring algorithmic justice. So I'm not a fan of just ban algorithms, and because technically there are limitations and feasibilities of how you would do that. And it might ban the good algorithm or the good side of the same algorithm, which can do good to society. So that's the discussion. So if you're interested in understanding data, inclusiveness, bias, and mitigation, Susanna's class is the right one for you. And Renee's class, we are going to be done with this Monday, and in a blink, it'll be gone. And if you're thinking about it, please talk to us. I will honestly tell you if that's not the right thing for you based on what your career goals are or where you are in your life stage of getting into the world of AI, because we don't take more than 20 students per class. So we can take another 5 or 7 people, I think, at this point. So with that, I'm going to wrap up that topic and move on. I want to go see whether I'm seeing any comments, questions, before I move on to tell you a little bit about the jobs that I have. Yeah. Okay. So thank you everybody who is here listening, following. At least I know the LinkedIn thing works. I see some people watching quietly. So if you don't feel like talking, that's all right too. So the other thing I'm planning to do today is, I've been talking about jobs. I'm going to tell you about that. But to give you some context, there is, let me see. There was a very beautiful article I saw. Okay. So one of the things you'll see in the tech world is a lot of discussion about AI ethics and is it good, and AI ethicists, do we need them? And I was at a Singularity Net conference this week, and they were talking about AGI or general AI, right? A whole concept, like every AI that we are building is a narrow AI. So we tell the AI to identify faces, it identifies faces, it recognizes objects in a self-driving car, and that's all it does. Or if it understands voice, it does translations, if it does chatbots or search engines and spam filters, or are looking for fraud in finance. Every one of them is doing one model to do one thing, and that's narrow AI, and we're building it again and again and again. So at that rate, we cannot get to this promise of AI that all the pundits are talking about. We need to get to a general AI. And so I'm a believer of this foundation models from Stanford HAI, about how there are models like DALI, GPT-3, and like there's another one called Transformers, Hugging Face. They are all models that you can take and build on top of it. It's something that is trained using the data from the whole Wikipedia or the world, instead of one small data set that I have. I will train it in my company, in my city, somewhere, the narrow AI. But the concept of general AI is like AI will have intelligence and all AI will be connected with each other, and there will be this AI for the world, which will solve all our problems, will have some kind of intelligence. As soon as we start talking that, there's a whole group of people who come and say, hey, can that AI have cognition? And will the AI take over the world? And so there was a fantastic talk by Nell Watson. Let me put her name in here. Nell Watson. And she's a tech ethicist. Watch her talk from Singularity Net Conference. And I'll find the specific link and share with you guys. So this was on Monday, so which I believe was day 3 of the conference. And the whole live stream on their website runs for 9 hours. So it's just too much. So let me find the exact point where Nell Watson is talking about, bringing all social sciences and philosophies and everything of the world together on how a general AI can be a beneficial AI. And it's just fascinating. She's such a well-read person. She's from Ireland, I believe. So definitely follow her. Okay. So why am I talking about the Singularity Net Conference? Because in that conference, there was this thing about AI ethics, and then somebody got mad and started getting upset about AI ethics is a distraction and we don't need it. And, it's a whole new field that is created that is unnecessary. And this was not, it was so horrible to hear it, but there was somebody who was saying all this stuff. I am not a believer of that. I believe we need AI ethicists. They are angels and we need them. And I hope some of you are going to take what AI ethics stuff you learn and apply it into your job. So my way of doing it is to teach you, so you don't need to go pick a fight. You go do your job, but you're smart armed about AI ethics and bias and responsible AI and tools for fairness and everything, and just go do your job right. And we bring more diverse set of people into building AI. That's my kind of where I'm going for this. But there are people who are just AI ethicists, and there are companies who are hiring AI ethicists. So let me jump into those jobs. So there is one from Sony Research that we had shared a while back. Let me see where that is. It's right here. Sony has a research scientist. A lot of these AI ethics jobs are not just talking jobs. These are not just jobs for creating policy. I have a few of those also coming up today. But Sony AI already had in my list in the beginning of the year, I had done a state of AI ethics jobs and compiled a bunch of these jobs. And I remember, so Sony AI had one of their jobs in there too. So there's a bunch of these jobs which are research scientists, which is people from variety of different background. To focus on fairness, transparency, accountability is what they are looking at. And specifically in image sensing, given their strength in the world of cameras, they're looking at image sensing and what does that look like, right? So this is and how can you bring fairness, accountability, and transparency? And I like this job because it focuses on images. And if you notice, the preferable majors are not just computer science, major in machine learning, major in artificial intelligence. So that's like music to my ears at Business School of AI, as everybody is learning AI. So the beauty of this is this job can be it's obviously headquartered in Japan, but you can work remote from anywhere. And that's the beauty of this job. That means, you could do it whoever you are, wherever you're looking. And it's going to be a very diverse, interesting role where you will work with programmers and researchers in Switzerland, Japan, and US. And you look into different algorithms. So what Renee Cummings is going to teach us about algorithms and how to create justice in algorithms would be very, very handy for this job, because they are not expecting you to, just be the coder to do this, but to understand algorithms at a much deeper level. And in everything we teach, I'm actually teaching a course on no-code AI data science. So I expect understanding of data science. So you need to know, is it supervised learning or unsupervised learning, machine learning or deep learning? How is it done internally? we teach that using no code AI. So you can learn that if that's interesting. So talk to us. Okay. And my current no code AI data science course is not open. It's currently running for this semester. So I'm not even giving you the URL for that. But I wanted to let you know that you could learn that if that is an area that you're interested in. Okay. So the other jobs, let me see. There are, oh, I did show you this page. So I need to tell you about this, right? Let me go back. So the other thing is, this is a beautifully, beautifully written article. I mean, I love words. I love the power of words when people can articulate something very beautifully. So other than the content of this article, the power of these words, the clarity with things are communicated is just amazing. So it's so joyful for me to share this with you. So this is a Wired article. Again, I have no affiliation so far. Whoever I've gave any names or companies or any jobs or anything, I have no affiliation. So just so you know. So my affiliation is only to Stanford University, where I work at the continuing studies department, where I teach AI for product and business managers. Okay. So in this Wired article, the opinion is about a call for Bill of Rights for an AI powered world. And this is coming from the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. So the authors of this are Eric Lander, the science advisor to the president and director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, and Alondra Nelson, deputy director for science and society at White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. I love that they have somebody who is not just a director for science, but director for science and technology, I mean, science and society. So which is beautiful because it acknowledges how science is here to serve society, has an impact on society. So this article is a call how US needs a Bill of Rights for an AI powered world. So here we are saying data is everywhere and AI is doing amazing things. It's in healthcare, it is in smartphones, it does recognition, and all data is, biased, and it gets deep into the detail of how. And I like that when they're talking about the data is not treating everybody equally. They're just not saying, hey, it's biased against Black people. I love this, which is really true. They give an example where a voice assistant might not understand Southern accent, because it might be trained, it is trained, unfortunately, by a small group of people who are building tech in certain parts of the world, and like Silicon Valley. And so if you don't have enough training data that consciously brings in Southern accents, then it doesn't understand Southern accents even within US. So you cannot say US is building the technology, everybody in US it's going to understand. So that's a beautiful example they've shown, just to drive home the point. For each of us, there could be a dimension of our identity, our personality, our way we communicate and everything. So I might wear these glasses and the AI system might not recognize it. I might wear a smaller glass like this and the AI system might understand it. And it could be just a function of what the training data was, So they've given beautiful set, a very succinctly written article showing the diversity, lack of diversity, and what is the impact of AI, and how AI impacts everybody, what are different walks of life that it impacts, and then how it is biased, right? So which is where the AI ethics comes in. And they actually write this in simple English, beautiful, powerful English. I've already said that. So with that, what they're calling is, they're saying we need a AI Bill of Rights. And, they have, that is the whole calling, right? So they should clarify the rights and freedoms we expect from a data-driven technologies to respect. What exactly are those? They're not, they're narrow fitting and say, this is what we are saying, but they are open for a discussion. But the possibilities they're saying is your right to know when and how AI is affecting a decision that will impact your civil rights and liberties, like policing, or if AI recognizes you and it matches you against a criminal database, and you didn't know where it came from. And so the example of the Uber driver that I keep quoting in my classes, the Uber driver could not open their phone because it did not recognize their face. And after this happened 5 times, Uber said, hey, looks like you're giving your app for other people to use, and you're fired. And they have a right to know. If somebody is suddenly fired one day, which is happening a lot because all these algorithms are using AI, they have a right to know what AI system was using, and how those decisions were made, because it impacts their civil rights and liberties. Your freedom from being subjected to AI that hasn't been carefully audited to ensure that it's accurate, unbiased, and has been trained to sufficiently represent on sufficiently representative data set. So if I get Alexa at home and Alexa cannot understand my accent because Alexa has not been trained on a data set which includes my kind of accent, I have a right to know that. I should have the freedom not to use the technology. In this case, Alexa is commercial and I might not buy it, but they didn't tell me before I bought it, right? So I already spent my money. Or if it is going to be used in government systems or anywhere outside, I should have the freedom and an alternative that is not a biased option that I have to put myself through. And then your freedom from pervasive and discriminatory surveillance and monitoring in your home. Because now when we have all these devices in our home, they are listening. What else are they collecting? What else are they doing? We need to have a freedom to know that. And then in your home, community, workplace, especially a lot of AI is coming into the workplace and monitoring whether you're sitting in your Zoom call. Are you on Zoom? Are you going away from Zoom to go somewhere else? Or are watching the screen continuously? They could do all that. There's a lot of AI. And then there's a lot of AI which we did cover, emotions AI. So we have a webinar on emotions AI at Business School of AI. So if you go there, you'll be able to find our emotions AI webinar. Again, if somebody's interested, I can give you the link for that. It teaches you, how emotions AI is everywhere, and it is fundamentally very, very flawed. It is not based on real cognitive science by which we can understand our emotions. And finally, our right to a meaningful recourse if the use of algorithm harms you. So if the Uber driver was fired and the algorithm has hurt them, or somebody was put in jail, what is the recourse for that? So these are all the Bill of Rights that's being proposed. And I forgot to tell you that they are calling for comments. Let me go back to that page, because they're saying, if you're thinking about this, if you're in that world operating, thinking about this, equity@ostp.eop.gov. Sorry, it's AI equity. Let me highlight that so you can see it. It's AI-equity@ostp.eop.gov. So that is where they're asking for comments. If you have, and they've started a public request for information about technologies used to identify people and infer attributes, which are called biometrics, essentially, right? So they're saying, what are these technologies? Do you like them? Don't you like them? Do you think they should be doing something differently? If you have an opinion on that, especially HR people, they want to hear from HR people about hiring software that are doing voice and behavioral analytics and all kinds of things, but they're very, very eager to listen. So here's the article, wired.com/story/opinion Bill of Rights, artificial intelligence, lots of dots in there. So take a look at that. I'm going to put this in the chat also on LinkedIn, right? Call for comments for AI Bill of Rights. Yeah. Okay. So take a look at that. And I would love for you to engage and find the time to invest and just write your opinion. There's nothing you're going to lose by doing that. But if you didn't, and you might have valuable information, we might miss out on an opportunity to go drive change that will impact us one day, right? So that is it. So now I am going to share a bunch of more jobs, and then we're going to close out. So let me go back to another window where I have some more jobs. So I showed you the Sony research job. This is an interesting one from Ohio State. I think this is the right window. So they have a postdoctoral scholar, and they have, this is in the engineering department, and they've given you the salary and everything else. This looks like a very interesting job that you should apply to. Okay, so I have some more. Let me show you. Other than this, there is a client services associate. So I gave you a bunch of researcher jobs. There is a bunch of jobs in deep bench. sorry, I'm going back to the right window to share that with you. So I will share that screen in a minute. Yeah. And I'm sharing the LinkedIn one. So this is from Alden French. So yeah, let me share the screen, sorry. This is from Alden French, and the company is called Deep Bench. And I always say that you don't need to be a coder. You can learn no code AI. We need everybody to be part of the AI building process. So I love it when there are jobs which are for variety of different roles. You might not even know what to call them. So here is one, it's called Client Associates. And they have a couple jobs in Deep Bench, and it's an interesting company. I have no affiliation with Alden French, but he's the hiring manager. So that might be a good thing for you to just follow up and explore if that's the right job for you. Okay. So the other thing I have is UX design intern. So it doesn't have to be, this is from Anne Cook on Twitter. She shared this. So thank you, Anne, for this referral. I'm very big on students getting involved right at the start. So this is UX design intern for summer 2022 at Northwestern Mutual. So it's careers on Northwestern Mutual. Here is the intern job link. I'm going to post that also on LinkedIn. Yeah. Okay. And let me see, I have a few more. My friend Manish Patel. He is a finance planning and analysis, FP&A analyst that I have worked with. Amazing, amazing person. And I'm not saying this lightly because I have worked with him and spent many, many hours on various kinds of brainstorm and involving people to go drive growth for eBay. At that point, I was responsible for 27 billion dollars, and I worked with Manish. He's based out of UK, and we had to brainstorm. We looked at data and analyzed data to say, okay, what kind of product experience can we create on iPhone, iPad, Android, on mobile web? And it was so much fun working with him. And he has a bunch of jobs at getyourguide.com. That's the company. And I would recommend talking to Manish Patel. Hey, I didn't expect to see a Manish Patel image in here, photo in here. Here is Manish Patel. So he's a fun guy, and they're just looking for 3+ years of experience. And I would recommend talking to him. I don't know the other people's photos that they're showing there. So that is another of those jobs that I am recommending heartily because I know the person. And then I hear of some other jobs in analytics, sales, market, product engineering. So let me find that. Also, I think in the same company, the Get Your Guide company has a lot more other jobs they're listing. They must be doing all right. And a lot of these are in Europe, in Berlin or Zurich. So that is something you can talk to Manish Patel. If you want to referral, I can introduce you. That's no problem at all. So these are some of the jobs, and I found a few more AI ethics jobs. Let me find that before I close out. So I told you about the Sony one. There is an AI researcher fairness. It's an executive director or VP level job at JP Morgan. It can be in New York, Palo Alto. Let me check that. Let me share that screen with you. And as some of you have requested, I am going to put this on my weekly newsletter with the recording of this Sudha Live so that you can get access to the actual links. Okay. So that is loading slowly. Here we go. So this is the JP Morgan Chase. So many of you talk about, AI, being an AI researcher for fairness or AI ethicist of some form are the junior jobs. They are in all kinds of jobs. They are in every possible role. And this one is a vice president or an executive director level role. So I would definitely recommend looking at it. Again, it's a responsible AI job. So if you want to come and take Renee Cummings class and get your responsible AI certificate, and here is a job you could go apply for. So one of the things we are going to do is at the end of the job, at the end of the responsible AI masterclass with Renee Cummings, I'm going to follow up with students to make sure if you are looking at any of these jobs and you want your resume matched, or get feedback on how you can take all your past experience and adapt it to this new world, because AI ethics is a whole new field. And so how do you actually write what you want to do, what your passion is, but show that you have the experience from your past to go do that? Because people from all different roles and functions can come and do these jobs because they're evolving new jobs. So I'm going to personally, I do that with every job, every class anybody signs up. I give an hour of one-on-one mentoring to people to fine tune their resumes, to do matches. And if they're thinking of a specific job, it's fine. If they're not thinking of a specific job, if they're just planning their career, that's also fine. So as a last thing, I want to show you a secret sauce of what I've been working all these years is when I talk to my students and I say, it's not just blah, blah conversation, hear me out type of thing. I am a very, very structured person. And I have a career pivot foundation that I've built that's worked all through the years. So this is what I have on Trello. So when I do a one-on-one mentoring session with every student who signs up with us, I go through this exercise saying, okay, what are your transferable skills and what experience do you believe you need to acquire, and where's your desired career pivot time framework, what transferable skills you bring. We list this and help them create a plan. So I kind of go through an interview cycle, build that out, come back and say, this is what I heard from you, is this right? And then I help them put together a plan. And then once some of them might be on a longer lead and want to develop more knowledge, they're getting started, so there might be courses, or they might need community support and they want to go build that out, or they might want to move into a specific industry and they want to learn the lingo. And there are certain exercises, like many of our projects are live labs where we develop the exercise and they do projects, or some of them want to go present that in public and write Medium post or something, or there might be advisory roles that they can participate in. And Pamela Gupta is one of my students who's brilliant in the cyber security space, and she's part of the advisory for cybersecurity at NIST. And she's one of those people who is ambitious and smart and keeps moving ahead. And she took her AI ethics course also, because while she's doing all this stuff, she wanted to have ethics as a foundation too. Or you might need some mentors, or you might do a lot of other things. So it goes on and on. So this is kind of my framework. So I will be sure to do that with any of the courses you take. So bit.ly/inclusive AI to learn from Renee Cummings, and we never repeat our courses again. I know the typical school does a bunch of courses and then they come back and you come back each semester and do that. That's not how we do. We get a bunch of students, they are our cohort. We want to help make them successful. So my metric is number of students I'm going to make successful. And that's why I brag about my students all the time, because they make me proud. So with that, I'm going to wrap up for today. I'm going to be sending a newsletter back from on these topics, what I've been telling you. And if that is of interest, then maybe I can, add you to that, and you can get this, on a weekly basis. But I don't want to add anybody, proactively or do anything like that, because I'm very big on GDPR and stuff like that, right? So with that, I'm going to close out, and I hope you all stay safe, and I will see you all next Friday, or maybe I'll see you at Renee's class for some of you. So looks like we have 5 more options, 5 more seats open. So talk to us. I know there are many of you who signed up on the LinkedIn calendar invite for Renee's class, and you're thinking about the class, considering it. This is your chance. Registration will close Sunday night, and Monday we have the class. So, and I'm talking Silicon Valley time. So talk to us if you're considering this. And if you're not ready, I will give you free resources, because we have plenty of free resources to get started. Yeah. With that, I'm going to wrap up. And I hope to see some of you at Weekly Wednesday, which is our happy place on where we meet our students past and present on a speaker series. So if you go to Business School of AI / and click on Weekly Ved, you can sign up for free, come show up, talk to us, and meet our speakers and community. Or I will be back here at Friday Live, and I'll share these links usually on LinkedIn. Otherwise, just go to Business School of AI on LinkedIn, and you can join us, and we'll notify you as new opportunities come up also. Okay, with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe, and I will see you next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye. Stop the live stream first.